on to number 4, which is the presentation. And one thing I want you guys to understand, I've seen it a lot with reps, they just think, oh, it's a presentation, I just gotta go through it. I really want you guys to understand that it's powerful. Go through it 100 times, make it your own. Have things in here that you say that are kind of leading people towards going solar. Like I said, a lot of reps are just like, oh, I got a presentation, I just read it. No, you need to feel it. You need to be really passionate about it and have it in your own way. Tell stories, ask questions. Guys, that is selling. That is psychology. That's how we close deals and get people to want to do it as opposed to pushing them into it. I said the same thing with Clint. What did I say how many times about this is your...
Oh, this is your home, this is your project.
This is your project, man. This is for you. This ain't for me. This is your home, your situation. This is for you. Okay? You got to give them ownership of it. It's their situation. They're the ones saving money. And I tell them all the time, I try to come across as just an educator or a trusted advisor. I'm not here to push you into doing something. I'm in solar because I'm passionate about it, and I have so many homeowners that are saving money and in a better situation. So I'm going to do my best to relay the information to you in a clear and concise way, but this is for you. This is your home, it's the money that you're spending, but this is how solar works. Go into it, okay? So, Mr. Carrington, so as I mentioned, One Solar, they are the company that will install the project. Just so you know, as I mentioned, I've been in the industry for 10 years. I partnered with One Solar for many reasons, which I'll go through and explain. But just so you're aware, this license number right here, every single person that touches your home or comes inside of your home, they work under One Solar and under that same license number. I know you probably don't know any different, but in solar there's actually a lot of companies that subcontract work. So you have an agreement with one company and their license number, but then you'll have a lot of other people that have their own or different contractor license number that work on your home. And it just, honestly, it becomes a nightmare for a homeowner if they ever do need service or anything done to the project because they don't know who to contact, right? They could contact the company if it was One Solar that did that and ask for something or repair, and then they're gonna relay you or turn you over to that company that actually did the work. So anyways, I know you don't know any different, but just so you know, it's a very secure way of doing business here, and it's the way that it should be done, and it's actually the way the Nevada State Contractors Board wants it to be done. So I'll go into it a little bit more, but just so you're clear on that. Awesome. So Mr. Carrington, there's 4 main reasons why people go solar. Okay, I'm gonna list them 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm gonna ask you at the end what would be your 2 motivating factors out of the 4 to go solar, okay? So number 1 is just to control your energy costs. We talked a little bit about it before, how if they were to raise the rate, and they have those 9 different ways to do it, that you'd unfortunately just have to pay it, right? So controlling your energy costs by having a choice where you can get your power, you can avoid NV Energy's annual rate increases, and just have more control. Okay, so it does put you in control. You'll know what your bill is, and as I've mentioned, it's a secure way to know that rate's not going to increase.
So it's never going to go up?
No, it'll actually only go away once the balance is taken care of. But it's like I said, if you were to qualify, it's actually cheaper than your average monthly payment to NV Energy. And as I mentioned, if you were to qualify, there's no money out of pocket, but it locks in that rate, and then it's the same every month.
Perfect.
So number 2 is upgrade your home. List your home as an energy efficient property, helping it sell faster and for a premium. And TJ, this was actually one that for 8 years of me being in solar, it was a really gray area because we didn't know. We would say that, you know, why wouldn't it increase the home's value if you were to sell a home with no power bill? But we didn't actually have a definitive yes, or that it did. And about 2 years ago, I signed up my friend's brother, and he had the project and system installed for about 6 months, and then he went and got his home refinanced. I actually still have the appraiser's number on my phone, He's actually a green, what was it again?
Green appraiser.
Green, isn't it something, is it just green appraiser? Okay, yeah, he's actually a green appraiser, so he focuses on energy efficient homes. But he actually built an 8% increase into Sean Crotty's home, and it was a $500,000 home. So it was a $40,000 increase in equity in the house for just having solar. So like I said, it was kind of a gray area, but now we actually know there are appraisers that will build equity into the house before going solar. So cool. Number 3, TJ, kind of laugh about this one. It's saving money with solar is kind of, it's inevitable, right? Like, I don't know if you saw, but in your neighborhood on the way in, I saw 4 or 5 systems that were installed. And the question I asked you is, do you think those homeowners would go through all that hassle to have that done and pay more?
No.
No? Right. So solar technology's come a long way. In most states, it's much cheaper than your normal utility provider. And just so you know, in Nevada, that's basically the reason why people do it. Like where I'm from in Utah, and I've worked up in Oregon and Colorado, they actually have that kind of like tree hugger mentality. Like, you know, they like that side of it, and if it saves them money and locks in there, they love that. But they actually like the environmental side, which I do too, which is the last one. Help the environment. Cities across the world are becoming more and more polluted. Solar is 100% clean and safe. And for me, I want to have kids. I'm assuming my kids want to have kids. And if I can leave the place better than I found it and also help people save money, that's what I get, passionate about. So TJ, out of the 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, what would be your 2 motivating factors for going solar today?
1 and 3.
1 and 3? Okay, right on. And I'll be honest, about 99% of people in Nevada, that's their answer. And it actually gets me excited because, going through this and showing you what the offering is, that's exactly what it's going to do for you. So awesome. Any questions at all on that? Cool, right on. So TJ, I mentioned it a little bit, but I just want you to really kind of wrap your head around how we just get power to your house. I mean, sitting in your home right now, have you ever thought how far the power has to travel just to get in your home for you to have lights and air conditioning and food?
Yeah, the Hoover Dam.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
So think of how much power is lost in that transfer, the delivery of the power. And then if you think about it, as we build and we continue to build out with how many people are moving to Nevada, we have to provide power to all those homes, right? So we have to have new substations. We have to provide a meter of electricity to all those homes, more power lines. So if people wonder, like, why do my rates always go up? Well, think about it. We have to give everybody power so they can live like you do. And it's expensive, maintenance and upkeep, and new substations and power lines. So if you really think about it from that aspect, no wonder rates increase. And I don't know if you knew, but here in Nevada, the cost per kilowatt is actually cheap on a national basis. Did you know that? Yeah, it's actually very cheap. It's 1/3 of what California is per kilowatt hour. But the reason why people's bills get so high is that we have so much usage. So much, because it's so hot, you have to run the AC. Like if customers were averaging 2,000 kilowatt hours a month right around where you are in California, their bill would be $1,300 to $1,400 a month.
Cool.
And it's a little bit scary because the PUC and NV Energy are actually having discussions on moving to a tier structure, which is the more power you use, the more you get charged for it. So again, just to educate you a little bit on that. So aside from it being very inefficient, if you think about it, this form of power delivery is terrible for our environment, and on top of it, it's very expensive. Rates will continue to increase unless we make a change. It's kind of a no-brainer. So any questions at all on that?
No, not so far. That's good.
Cool, on to the smart way. So solar is simple, it's efficient, it's better for the planet, it's cheaper for you, and if you were to qualify, you pay nothing to get started. So plus there's no more annual rate increases to work into your family's budget. Why pay more to power your home when there's finally a better option? So TJ, I'll show you the design for your house, but the solar panels go up on the roof. The sunlight is then converted into DC electricity. Then we install an inverter that's on side of the home that converts the DC electricity into usable electricity, which is AC electricity, and then it's flowed into what's called a net meter. Okay, so right now you have a meter on your home. You've seen it, right? On your electric panel?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, so that meter reads all the power that you use in the home, And every month you get a bill, and that reading from the meter is on your bill, the amount of kilowatt hours you use, and then it translates to your monthly payment. Okay? So you actually have a new meter installed on the house that reads the production from the solar panels plus what you're using inside of the home. And I don't know if you know or if I mentioned, but you're actually very lucky as far as the build and layout of your home. Only 50 to 60% of homeowners in Nevada get what's called a full offset. And what that means is that there's enough modules up there to cover your annual usage with NV Energy, so you're not going to have a liability to them or your power bill once solar is installed.
Okay, so it's just my solar bill and that's it?
Yeah, and there's a connection fee. There's always a basic service charge for NV Energy because you're still going to be connected to the grid. So a lot of people have this misconception with solar. They think, well, I have solar for my home, what happens if it's dark or if it's cloudy? Am I not going to have lights? No. That's not how solar works, okay? Your home is going to operate exactly the same way. Like nothing will change at all. And then what happens is that we produce enough power with this system size on an annual basis to where you don't have a liability to NV Energy for your kilowatt hour consumption, okay? So you will always have that basic service charge. I think it's $12.50 if you look on that bill. But we've accounted for those numbers in your proposal, which I'll go over. But as I've mentioned, it's a big misconception. A lot of people think, oh, I'll go off the grid and blah, blah, blah. But if you think about it, if you were to go off grid, how would your neighbors get power? Because if you didn't know, in a neighborhood, the power flows through each home and each meter. So if you were to cut ties, the next homeowner, they'd have to dig trenches and all this to get the power back to their home, and NV Energy doesn't allow it. So the program here is what's called net metering, which you have a meter that reads your solar production, like I said, offsets your usage to NV Energy, but you'll always have the basic service charge so your home continues to operate just like it does now. Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Right on. So, on to the next one. What happens if I move? Huge question. And you even said that you could possibly be moving in the next 4 years. And this one is one I get really excited about because until 2 years ago, it honestly was a nightmare for a homeowner. It was one of those things that me morally, sometimes I wouldn't move forward and sign the customers up if I knew they were going to be moving within 1 or 2 years. But the cool thing is the lender that we use now, their program, they make it really, really easy to take care of it if something was to happen if you were to come up and move. So, number one is home buyers prefer homes with lower expenses. It can easily be transferred to the new homeowner. Solar, as I mentioned, can increase your home's value 5 to 11%, and solar homes sell faster than homes without solar. TJ, I'm in your home now explaining it to you. Imagine if when you moved in, you just didn't have a power bill, right? If you had this exact home that you're living in, and then you had the option to buy the same exact layout and build of this home right next door, and it had solar installed with no bill, I mean, what home would you choose? Right, yeah. So again, there's 3 things that you can do when you do move, okay? So number one is you can easily transfer the balance and payment to the buyer. This is the most popular, and this was the one that I was telling you 2 years ago has really made our job a lot easier and very convenient for the homeowner. Before, this wasn't an option, which is what you had to do here, which is adds equity take that cash and pay off the system, which is still a great option, DJ, just so you know, because then you get to list the home with no power bill. And you'll see, if it was to happen, you'll have a lot of inquiries because you're selling a home with 1 less bill, which is immediate savings for the homeowner. Okay, and then number 3 is one that no one does. Honestly, I've never had a homeowner do it in the 10 years I've been doing this. Remove the system and relocate. It's just a hassle. It's a lot. It costs a lot of money. And why wouldn't you just want to offer it to the new homeowner with solar and then look at doing another project on that home that you moved into, which could be different square footage. So you probably need a different system size depending on if the home is a little bit different. So this is one that I've never seen, but it's an option. Number one, you can simply, I'll get to your payment. I think it came in around like $102. So you could easily just transfer that payment and balance to the new homeowner. Hey, here's what I was paying before, and here's what my power bill is now. And they guarantee that the homeowner will assume it if they got qualified for the home. And then number two is, as I mentioned, 5 to 11%. So you'll make money on selling the home. If it's paid off, like I've mentioned, you'll actually earn some cash back on the sale, and then you can just pay it off, and you can list the home with no power bill. So any questions on those?
Is there any lien on my home or anything?
There is not. No, they file something that shows that they owned the system until paid off, but it's actually not a lien that holds you up from doing things on your home or selling. No, it's a good question though. And as I mentioned, a couple of years ago, they made this a lot easier. That's actually something they eliminated as well. So there's no lien on the property at all. Any questions on that?
No, that's good.
Cool.
Good, good.
This is one I really love, TJ. This was my previous installer. I worked with them 4 years ago. I moved over to One Solar about 4.5 years ago. And if you can see just aesthetics, okay? So this is One Solar. This is my previous installer, which is what you get with about 95% of homeowners out here. As you can see, the modules are a blue tint and they're like checkerboard.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and what that means is that these are polycrystalline. So poly means it's a bunch of pieces put together, okay? And what that does,
crack.
exactly, with the heat, because it gets so hot, and then we also have cold winters, it causes the panels to warp, and it affects the production. So with us, we use a monocrystalline, which means cut from one sheet, and they're jet black, just like your flat screen TV over there. But the number one thing that I get passionate about with homeowners is, you said you just bought this home, it's beautiful. I'm assuming the aesthetics of your house are pretty important to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you can see this conduit that's ran up on the roof, like I said, I actually don't know another solar company in Nevada that does this, but we actually fish this stuff through the attic. And it's more intensive, it's a very tedious install, and if you think about it, it's really hot for the installers, so it's more work. But we are a company that strives on providing the best service possible, and if we can aesthetically make your home look a lot more pleasing with solar, have it be something you're excited about as opposed to it being an eyesore, then we'll take that extra step. So I have looked at your home. You do have the attic space, so you won't have any conduit running from array to array. It'll all be inside the attic. And then if you look, the conduit will come out right under the eave and then just right down to your meter. So it's just the panels. There's nothing else visually you'll see out under the eave. It will come right down into your electric meter, and that will be your install. So I mean, you don't know any different, but it's funny. I have homeowners that I talk to on a regular basis, and they text me all the time and even send me photos of their neighbor's system, and they'll be like, "Ha, look at these guys. They got conduit running up on their roof, and you don't see any of mine." So again, I know you probably haven't seen anything different, but as far as aesthetics go, it's a big game changer. So, but any questions on that at all?
Yeah, are they gonna create any more additional holes or anything?
They do not, no, and they flash. So just so you know, that's a great question, by the way. And just so you know, everything is permitted, which goes through your city, and then once the system has been installed, following that permit, there's actually a city inspector that has to come out and inspect all of our work. And we do what's called flashing, which inevitably is it doesn't allow the system to leak. And just so you know, in the 10 years I've done this, I have not had a homeowner call me with a leak from the solar system. Just so you know. But it is under warranty, just so you feel secure. But like I said, I haven't seen it happen. And then it has to go through that inspection process, which means they tell us it's done properly.
I have a question my dad forgot to ask, but basically we have a 2-story house, so are we gonna have a conduit going up the side of the house?
Not if you have attic space. So it depends on how your home is. I can take a look at it. But if there's actually attic space from this one to from this level to this one, then no. But obviously you have to get the conduit going somewhere. And if there is nowhere to fish it, then yes, it will actually, in that section, be done on the side of the home. And I actually have a photo I can show you. This is a really good example of one of my previous installs where we ran right into that, that situation.
And we do paint the conduit the same color of the house, just in case that does.
Yeah, you just have to think anywhere where we can, we will. But it's not up to us on how your home's built, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but in the event that it can be done through the attic, it will be done through the attic. So that's a good question, but I had a homeowner that just got installed, and it's the exact same scenario. I can't find it, but it's the exact same scenario that you're talking about. They had one array on a 1-story, and then it moved to a 2-story. If you think about it, how would you get the conduit from the lower level to the array? So it went through the attic, popped out right up to the next level, and then it was painted all the way up, and then went into that array.
Makes sense.
So.
All right.
But good, that's a great question, because I don't want to tell you it'll all be through the attic, but there's no way we could do it, and then it wouldn't be done.